This is the 2007 trip in Tokyo and stuff like that. We were actually on a trip to Mount Fuji at this point, and so we were about to get on a bunch of boats that were going to kind of go around the area and stuff like that. And so this is all the people that were outside it and stuff like that. You can actually see. I went with my dad and my best friend Andrew. We went in 2007 in October, and I think that's my dad right there. I'm pretty sure that's my dad right there, or it might be me that my dad's filming. I'm not sure which, but right there. My dad did not learn any Japanese besides very few words. I basically had to run around and be the translator for everything, which didn't even work that well because I still feel awkward speaking Japanese even in the country. It just feels weird. We went just for a vacation. We went in 2005 the first time for a vacation, and then we liked it so much we tried to go back in 2007, and we did. We wanted to go back in 2009, but we couldn't afford it because the economy was starting to eat a bag of shit. And, well, now you know why it'd be kind of a bad idea to go back. So, very few people in Japan actually know English. Even though the signs are everywhere, it's just like in America, how a lot of signs have Spanish on them, but very few people actually know how to speak Spanish. So it's basically, yeah, unless you went to like a bank or a place where stuff was really high class, they didn't know English, pretty much. So you had to get by on rudimentary Japanese. I'm not fluent at all in Japanese. I speak at like a kindergartner's level. I speak like very basic, like, do you like this food? Do you know where arcade at? Like, that's basically the level I speak at. So, and like that slow. So, I mean, I can do it, but it's super fucking basic. Like, it's bad. Definitely learn hiragana and katakana first. They're the basics. You have to learn those before you can learn kanji. And if anybody's wanting to learn Japanese, just look this game up. Oops. Just look this game up, and it'll burn katakana and hiragana and a lot of kanji into your head permanently. It'll burn it in your fucking head forever. Burn it. I'm not like, by the way, I'm not like Japophile. Like, I'm not obsessed with Japan or whatever. I like the country for liking the country. Like, I mean, there's bad things with Japan. There's stupid shit with Japan and Tokyo, just like there is any other nation. I'm not one of those people that likes stuff just because it came from the country. Like, I like, food or comics from Japan just because they came from Japan. If fucking something came from North Korea and it was just as good as whatever else, I would like it. I don't give a shit where the fuck it comes from. I just like it if it's good, period. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of people in here that weren't in the last stream, so I'm just saying that just from the get-go. So, anyways, dongs. So we're going here. Here's the picture of kind of like the whole outer area. I think we got on top of the roof of the building we were at. This is pretty fucking nerdy, I'm going to have to admit. But for any of you who are around my age and flipped your shit about Digimon and stuff like that, back when you were like in elementary school, like when you were like in 6th grade and junior high and all that stuff, if you flipped your shit about the first season of Digimon, you're probably going to recognize this. I don't know if you recognize that or not, but that was in some of the last episodes of Digimon. So that was actually real. I found that out when I went there. I was like, wow, I couldn't fucking believe it, but that actually is real. So it's a building structure that has this gigantic fucking like dome in the middle of it, and it was actually a really big part of one of the Digimon first season episodes. And when I saw that, I was like, wowee, that's actually fucking real. That's not fake. So, hold on here. I'm getting my fucking headphones in here. It's a piece of shit. So anyways, another view of the coast and stuff like that. Well, not really the coast, but you get what I'm saying. Can you guys hear me, by the way? It seems like my mic's all fucked up, like in a wrong angle or something like that. I need to get a pair of headphones that I can use specifically for streaming, because this is such a bitch to use these. I need to get like wireless headphones or something like that. I don't know. I'm probably going to stream for like another hour or two just because I've finally getting into these fucking Japan pictures that I've been wanting to. Okay, there we go. So now I'm moving around. Sorry. Anyways, there's a worker. They have a lot of red on the roads there. I'm not really sure what that's for. I'm not sure if that's like, special cars only or something like that. So I don't really know what that designates, but that's on a lot of the roads there. This is actually a gigantic fucking Sega Center, which is the next pictures I'm about to get into are a absolutely fucking enormous arcade. This is Sega too, by the way. So, oh yeah, it's Joy Palace or Joy Palace. I'm not really sure which. There's a lot of these in Tokyo. Well, just in Japan in general, and they're just like gigantic, kind of like mall / arcade things that's all ran by Sega. Sega still has a very large presence in Japan. Probably about half the arcades in Japan, the big ones, probably half the big 4-story arcades in Japan are Sega's. Sega owns a shit ton of arcades in Japan. So they're very big there. These are all obviously very well-known brands. Adidas, Gap, Lacoste, or whatever fucking, you know, everybody knows that shit. Again, another shot of the area, stuff like that. I have an Xbox 360, yeah. That's where I make all my videos on. Now, I don't really know what this is specifically. This is like it goes under the water and then it comes out on the other side of the bay right here. But I don't know why it's got this gigantic fucking like ramp thing. I don't know. It's not a bridge, so I don't really know what the hell this is. But I guess it has some purpose. I don't know what the fuck it is. More close up of it, you can see this thing is absolutely fucking enormous. And now this right here, we actually went to, for those of you in San Francisco, there's this place called Exploratorium you might have been to. They have something similar in Japan, which is like a big science exhibit thing, and it's mainly, I'm expecting, for like kids or whatever, but there's a lot of stuff that is really interesting to see regardless of your age. And so it's pretty cool, but the bad thing is this is the parking lot for it. This place is fucking dead, and I don't really know why, but yeah, kind of dead. Oh, no, sorry, that wasn't for that. This is for a water park. That's why it was dead. There's a water park, and we went in October, so the water park was done like dinner. It wasn't fucking there. Oh! Randomly, another vending machine, because you can never take enough pictures of these motherfuckers. As I said in the last stream, Coke cans and sodas are generally about 2/3 the size they are of American sizes, so they're actually pretty small. The price there is about $1.50 in American money, although now it'd be even more because the exchange rate's all fucked up. And they love fucking coffee. Coffee is in every one of these goddamn machines. In every vending machine you're gonna find coffee, something lemon flavored. They love fucking lemon. Lemons are in like half the fucking drinks. Lemon flavored, green tea, coffee, and water. And there's a lot of vitamin C stuff there. Vitamin C all over the fucking place. They also have these kind of machines, which are just traditional, you know, turn the fucking knob and shit comes out machines. And so they have those here, just like, you know. Well, I went through some of these last week, yeah. I went through some of these, but not all of these. Now I'm actually going in order. These were taken in 2007 in Tokyo. This is actually, I took a picture of this because, yes, it's actually fucking named that. Believe it or not. I had to take a picture of this when I saw it. Yeah, I don't know if that's on purpose or not, if that's based off of Pokemon, but that's pretty ridiculous. I noticed that now, it's just like, wow. The even more ironic thing is that it's fucking red, and then green, and then blue, which is even more ironic, so I'm not even sure if that's on purpose or not. Anyways, this is Andrew here on the side, and then we're walking down the path to the science exhibit thingy. I'm a fan of Pokemon. I'm not like rabid about it, but when it first came out, I was like really into it. I haven't really played it in years, but I have nothing against it. I think it's a fun game. Now here's the science exhibit thingy, which is pretty cool. It's called Mirai-Con, and basically the Mirai part stands for future. All of you who are Dragon Ball Z nerds probably, I was one too. I'm not putting you guys down. I was a huge Dragon Ball Z nerd back in the day. But all of you probably fucking watch that, immediately know what the hell Mirai means because you fucking, yeah, you watch Dragon Ball Z. So you got fucking, you know, Mirai Trunks, the future Trunks. So yeah, that's what it means is future. So it's basically like future exhibit, future building, whatever the fuck. They had this little thin sheet of water and stuff like that there. So I'm not really sure what that was for, just kind of looking cool, I guess. The P, I believe, I don't know what the fuck that means. It means piss off, I guess. I never actually saw any of those Lotus Shin. They don't really need to put those out, I guess, because prostitution is actually legal in Japan. Or at least organized prostitution is legal in Japan, if you know what I mean. Like, street walking isn't legalized, I don't think, but there are a shit ton of brothels, legalized prostitute places, everything else. The only law is that you can't have sex, but this is also upkept about as much as the law is in California that says you can't smoke weed. So that basically never gets fucking kept up by anybody unless you're retarded and do it out in the middle of the street. The thing is I would never want to do anything with anybody like that in Japan. Not being racist, I'm not saying I don't want to do anything with anybody Asian. I don't want to do anything in Japan specifically because the STD rate there is over 500% what it is in America. Yes. So you are basically asking to get a fucking STD if you fuck around there. The reason why this is because it is rather expensive. Yeah, it's pretty fucking expensive. And no, I did not do anything with any prostitutes there. I just looked it up. Anyways, the reason why it's super expensive, or the reason why it's super high up there is because in Japan, for a very long time, there was a stigma that STDs were only given and passed around by foreigners, which is why even to this current day, a lot of the bathhouses and stuff like that in Japan, where people go and take like public baths, foreigners are banned from them because of the fear that they'll spread STDs. Even to this day, even though people know that it's not only foreigners with STDs, that still happens. So that was one reason why I got spread a lot. Because if people had like a fucking word on their dick, they're just like, oh, well, must not be me. I haven't had sex with a foreigner back in like the 80s and 70s. The second reason is because there, it's considered somewhat insulting if you say, you know, hey, I need to put on a condom to fuck you. Because there, it's basically saying, hey, you're a whore and you've probably slept around with a lot of guys, so I need to put on a condom. Which is what it basically says to them in their culture. Whereas in America, it's like a smart idea to do that and girls aren't offended by it. So that also causes a lot of guys, you know, to want to not piss their girlfriends off, so they fuck them without condoms. The third reason is because there's a lot of shame there for doctor stuff. Like if you have a gigantic fucking monster growing out of your dick, you don't really want anybody knowing. And since doctors and stuff like that are a lot more like personal with you, like you have more like connection with them in a lot of Asian countries than you do in America. It's much more like personal. Doctor's a much more bigger thing there. You don't want to have the doctor find out because then he might tell your family, he might tell your friends, you know, the shame admitted with it, blah, blah. So you just don't tell anybody. So the triple combination there of not telling anybody you have an STD, not wearing anything to prevent an STD, and not having the knowledge of why STDs happen and stuff like that at the very beginning, at least back in the 70s and 80s, just made STDs spread like fucking wildfire. So, yeah. There's also the fact that sex and love over there are very different. Like here, of course people have friends with benefits relationships and they have sex without being in love and stuff like that. But over there, it's a very separate concept. You do not have to be in love to have sex with somebody over there. It's a very, very separate concept. There's many couples over there that are in love and never do anything sexual, and there's many people over there that have full-on sexual relationships with no affection towards each other whatsoever. In fact, in a lot of married relationships, the woman doesn't even find it weird if the husband has a mistress on the side. Just so long as he brings home money and he treats his wife right and takes her out on dates and stuff like that, a lot of Japanese women don't even care if he has a mistress he's fucking on the side because it's completely separate. So, you know, yeah, so it's a completely different thing. So that's one big reason too. And then there's also the fact that sexuality over there is much less. It's a contradictory thing. Sexuality in the open, like if you kiss in public in Japan, that's the equivalent of like fucking in the middle of the street in America. Like it is a big fucking deal if you make out with somebody in Japan in public. People will flip their shit big time, let alone holding hands. So that's kind of like a contradictory thing because in private, sexuality is much less suppressed than it is in America and other countries, especially because of the fact that many of the arcades have porn shops on the basement floor. They have basement floor porn shops underneath the fucking most arcades. So, yeah. I'm not going to be playing any more games tonight besides some old games that I made and some other old like Super Nintendo Genesis games. But that's not going to be for probably about another hour or so. I streamed a shit ton of stuff today, though, and it's all archived, and I'm going to put a lot of it up on YouTube.